Hello again, it's Melinda. I made a quick video the other day asking for your insight about evangelism because I wanted to get a baseline of where you guys are at and sharing your faith. Thank you so much for the comments. I really enjoyed hearing all of your thoughts. The question I asked to get the ball rolling was, how do you see your personal evangelism style? Are you more like a shark, always on the move looking for a way to share the gospel, or are you more like an eel, waiting for the right moment to pounce? It's probably not good that those two things are animals of prey, but it got the ball rolling. Not one of you said you would be a shark, which I found really interesting and kind of telling. Some of you had concerns that a shark would be perceived as having an agenda rather than caring for the individual. Some of you said it just wasn't consistent with your personality, and so it wasn't how you shared your faith. And then some of you said that you would rather build up a relationship with someone and create an atmosphere of love and trust and then share your faith. Okay, so I share some of your concerns about having a shark-like mindset. It was really hard to say that sentence. I think we should be cautious not to convert and desert, like Jordan said. If we ever start seeing people as a problem or as a project, we've lost perspective. Alright, so let's get back to the basics really quickly before we move on. There are two resources that I would really like to share with you. One is a sermon by David Platt. It's called The Glory of God, the Lostness of Man, and the Gospel of Christ. If you're unsure of the importance of sharing the gospel, or if you just feel like you've lost the passion that you once had for sharing your faith, watch this, or listen to it, or you might even be able to read it. I will leave a link in the description down there. Also, right here on our website, 412teens.org, there's a really good article that was posted about sharing the gospel with your friends, so very, very relevant. I especially liked the emphasis on asking questions instead of maybe the tendency to lecture or preach. Okay, brief basics, and if this is a refresher for you, just bear with me, just be like, yeah, Melinda, we know. Let's first of all not forget that sharing the gospel is not optional, it is a command. Second, our lives should be different than the world. There should be something about us that makes people ask questions. Third, God does the saving, we just do the sharing. God's will be accomplished, and it's our joy to be able to share in that work. It's our joy and privilege to be used by God in this process of Him calling His children to Himself. We have to keep that perspective, or else, yeah, it might be tempting for it to become a drudgery or something we avoid, but no, it's a gift. And if we're not gripped by the importance and the gravity of the message, then we've also lost perspective. These are people's souls. And no, it is not our responsibility to save them, but they desperately need to hear the message, and it's our responsibility to do that. Recently, I've been convicted about the importance of prayer in this. If you're not sure when to share your faith, ask God to create the opportunities for you to share. This does two things. First of all, it gets your mind in a state where it's looking for opportunities to share the gospel, and also I know from experience that God will answer that prayer and He will bring opportunities in your life whether you actually wanted them or not. I worry about my hesitance in my own life to share my faith. And I'm going to ask you to test your heart in the same way that I've had to test mine. Am I really worried about defaming the gospel, of giving the wrong impression of the gospel, or am I just concerned about my own acceptance or my own rejection, or being laughed at or mocked or judged or, persecuted? Because the Bible says to expect those things. Those should not be deterrents in sharing our faith. That's what we're to expect. It's so easy to humanly forget that, and none of those things are necessarily proof that we're sharing the gospel wrong. It just shows the lostness of man. Sharing the gospel is one of the best ways to glorify God, and glorifying God is the sole reason we exist. And if that doesn't sit well with you, examine your heart. If you are saved, you've been completely changed, and it would only be selfish, prideful, and cowardly to not share your faith. Now, for those of us, and I have been in the same place, so I feel like I can say this without being overly judgmental. For those of us who say we won't share the gospel unless we have developed a friendship with someone, are we actually concerned about their soul and them actually receiving the gospel? Or are we concerned about them liking us enough to not reject us after finding out about our faith? I'm still learning. I haven't been to seminary. I am a young person. So go ahead and leave your thoughts. These were some of mine. What are some of your thoughts about this? And did you disagree with anything? Did you agree with anything? Did you agree with anything? I would love to hear your thoughts. Have a great last day of April, and hopefully I will talk to you in May.